Hi everybody, welcome back to Eclectic Reviews. It's another review. I got my trusty notes here and I'm ready to go. Who am I doing? You've seen it on the link anyway. It's eclectic, Japanese art, progressive, weird rockers. And their album, which actually came out this year. Now I didn't even know they were still going. Let alone had a new album out this year, but thanks to one of my grand subscribers, she let me know that, hey, if you want to listen to an album by eclectic, this is on Spotify. Not a huge fan of listening to things on Spotify, but it helps to do reviews and things, and helps me to go like, yeah, I'll go out and buy that, because hopefully buy that on solid CD or vinyl, because I'm one of these people who's tactile and wants to hold the item in my hands. I like things, especially if they've got lyric sheets with them and the artwork and things like that. It's just a whole big collecting thing, really, maybe. And digital doesn't do it for me in that sense. I've got some digital albums that I bought for a while because it was cheaper, although prices have been going like that, so what's the point? Might as well get the solid copy. But a lot of people, of course, buy a song from that one and a song from that one, and even though I tend to listen by dipping in and out of things, I much prefer having whole albums, because I can appreciate the sound a lot more, and some songs are actually elevated by listening to them within an album structure. When they're out of an album structure, they lose certain elements, as we've found out with our reaction channel. You know, together, when people have gone like, try this, and I've tried it, and I've gone like, and other people have gone like, that's in the middle of the album. You try that in the middle of the album, and look how much better it becomes. And for some of them, I have tried them, and yeah, they have. So, enough of that anyway. On to eclectic. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of a track-by-track breakdown, because that's the easiest way of doing this one. Although, a lot of the tracks are written in kanji. Some are in katakana, some have got hiragana in there. Those are basically Japanese alphabet syllables, and kanji especially, a lot of clue. So I just have to say, like, the first track, or the next track after that, just to keep things going. But what I have to say about this album is, there's a consistent sound throughout the most part of this album. They've chosen a consistent style of music, and they've flowed through the whole album with it. The style of music, I would say, is an Electronica Industrial light sort of target. They're still a rock band, they still rock out in parts, they add rock elements in there, but there's a lot more electronica, a lot more industrial styles. There's even trance, techno and house moments going on in this album, so they've really mixed it up. And I always find eclectic interesting, but this is totally different to the 4 reactions I've done. So far, reaction, the first one was acoustic style, gentle, very nice. The next one was a great song. The third one was really dark and progressive and fantastic, and the fourth one, I didn't like it because it was sort of disco Talking Heads. It was very, very, very strange. And they're a band that do like to experiment, so I would class them as progressive because of that. I'm not sure how, if all their albums have similar styles to them. Like they go one that's very acoustic style, or they go one that's country, they go one that's got elements of symphonicness in it, maybe, or like this one, like I say, is Electronica Industrial sounding, and it's not industrial in the heavy metal, it's not Fear Factory or Ministry sense, but it still has elements to it of industrial sounds, but of course it has more electronica moments. The first track, purely in kanji, so I couldn't tell you what it's called. It has a heavy, epic start to it. It even feels like it should be an instrumental, but the vocals come in to it in a very distorted fashion, which is an element through some of the songs, where they've gone through the machinery to make them sound distorted. Above all, this song has a great driving rhythm to it. It is very electronica, and it is has the industrial elements to it, and it's quite an interesting start. I'm going like, I wonder what the rest of the album sounds like. Well, the rest of the album follows in that sort of vein. The second one has kanji, followed by the word love. This is more a synth pop sort of opening to it. Synth pop is an element of what's called EBM, which is a really stupid term. That's electronic body music. EBM sounds much cooler than the things it stands for. Synth pop is part of that, and synth pop really comes from the new romantic era's 80s. It's Depeche Mode. I've mentioned that in another review actually. Depeche Mode, Gary Newman, Human League, Ultravox, things like that. And now there's modern bands out there creating this sort of stuff. It is, I would class it as sci-fi machine music. And really it's, this song is a cross between modern Gary Newman, who's much more an industrial sounding guy now, and Nine Inch Nails. Not Nine Inch Nails at the heaviest, but Nine Inch Nails at their sort of standard, sort of repetitive beat type thing. It is very interesting, very, very interesting. That's followed by Gustav. Oh, it's something that's in full Romanji. Yes, Romanji is the what they call our alphabet, basically. So when you see words in like, or you equate them to English, or you equate them to German, or you know, our alphabet, the Western world's alphabet. This one has a trance techno kind of opening to it. Again, though, of course, they still have rock elements at the heart, and it's more up-tempo than the second song, which had a much more ominous feel to it. It's a great little thing. Then we've got Moon, which is slower. It slows down the album. It's balladic to start with, but then sort of becomes almost like a modern disco dancing electronica kind of song by its end. And again, so, you know, variety is definitely the spice of Om's life. Then we've got kanji, followed by words Rosenkreuzen, which I think might be German or Dutch, but either way, it's been mangled by my terrible accent. This feels a bit schizophrenic to me, this one. This song is the first one on the album I've gone like, no, not for me, not for me. It just didn't interest me at all. Next on the list we have Katakana, followed by Femme Fatale. This has a really dramatic opening to it. I really went, this sounding like it could be good, but then it automatically drifts down to a more laid back sort of sound before crashing rhythms pile on it again, which includes moments of chaotic breaks going on. The guitars are all fighting against the bass player and everybody's going wah to it. It's very interesting. I found it difficult to listen to the first time. Found it a bit more easy to get into the second time, but still I'm like, no, not sure. But then we've got Ophelia, which again has a sort of mixture between a classical music sound and techno, opening it up, and then it flows into a more house music sound. Now, when it comes to you know, dance music from the 90s and noughties, early noughties and stuff, I didn't mind a bit of trance. I didn't mind a bit of techno. Didn't like house at all. I'm not really a fan of house music at all. But overall, this song builds. It builds to a great rhythmic sound towards the end. I'm like going like, and it grew on me. It grew on me really well. Then we've got another song which is basically written in kanji. So there's somebody out there going like, all right, I'll write all these down for you. Again, techno stuff. But it almost has 80s, 90s rock sounds throughout it as well. When the chorus hits. Before that, it's like, I've heard this before from the rest of the album, really. Give me something. Oh, there's something new. It's an interesting juxtaposition. They really are experimenting, and like I say, some are hitting me between the eyes, and some are bouncing off and going like, bye! It's very strange. Then we get a song that's all written in katakana, which has a very dark and interesting opening to it. And the vocals in it are mostly, they feel spoken word almost. Yeah, it's got its rhythmic cadence of singing, but it feels more a spoken word style to it. Then we have Igniter, which has a strong beat to open and is much more rock and roll style. Still got an industrial beat going to it, but it feels much more rock and roll in there. You'll get what I mean when you listen to it. It's hard to put it into words how that is, but it does feel much more rock and roll. The final 3 songs, while there's still the electronica influence, it's much more lessened throughout these songs. They feel much more traditional rock sounding songs. Babel starts off with ominous epic keys, followed by a powerful bass. Again, the techno rhythms then come in. But you can feel much more of the classic rock style to it, because it feels like the sort of music that you would be driving downtown in a city at night, all the lights around you. It feels like that kind of music. But at the same time, the streets would be infested by, good-looking vampires from Twilight or Vampire Diaries or whatever. It feels that kind of, you can imagine that sort of picture in your head for some reason. Well, I can, some reason. That's the kind of music it conjures up. It's dark, it's ominous, it's rock, but it's also techno, but it also feels like a driving sort of song, but it feels like the nighttime cityscape driving kind of things with vampires. That's what conjures up to my mind. Anybody else has heard it, let me know what it conjures up in your mind. We're all different. It'd just be interesting to hear. The next one is all written in hiragana and kanji, and definitely is a much more traditional sounding rock song. And finally the last one, also in kanji, and is a pretty solid ending. The weird thing is, I think I prefer the last 3 songs the most, yet it's hard to actually, for the last couple of songs, it's hard to actually describe them too much in depth, because of I'm so focused on the top half, the majority part of the album, with its more industrial, techno, electronica leanings, fathoming, if I can pronounce that word, out the depths that they've extolled in those songs. Overall, this is a very, very interesting album. I like electronica here and there, I like industrial here and there, I like a lot of this album, quite a lot. I do think some of the songs drag down a little bit, and there's too many of the songs are short. Most of the album is below 5 minutes. The last few songs are all over 5 minutes, and the last 3 songs are all over 5 minutes, like I say, and they're all really damn good. The first song is really damn good, and that's over 5 minutes. Most of the time when they go shorter songs, they don't layer enough depth into the sound for me. They don't seem to latch on as long enough for me. I seem to lose a little bit. If they're only 3 or 4 minutes, that extra minute, 1 minute or 2 minutes, seems to make a big damn difference on this album with their songs. Most of the, like I say, the 3 or 4 minute songs are good, but they're not essential. While most of the 5 minute songs are pretty damn essential. They're pretty damn good. And because of that, I'm going to have to do my usual, like I did on my last one, a 7 out of 10. Again, you cut out a lot of the shorter songs, I would give it probably an 8. But this is a solid 7. Really like the album a lot. But I say, some of the short songs I'd never listen to again. The start First 2 songs at the start, fantastic. The last few songs, fantastic. There's 1 or 2 in the middle, fantastic. But again, it's one of those ones that sagged slightly for me. But I think it's mainly because the songs are too short. They've been cut too short, and they haven't been allowed time to breathe a bit. Almost as if they wanted to cram as many songs as possible to show all the different stuff they could mix up, which I think has dragged it down a little bit for me. But otherwise, great album, solid album. So what do you guys think?